Hi, my name is Leandro Facchinetti and let's write some code together, shall we? What we have on the menu today is this app that I have been developing on my streams. It allows you to use a tablet, just like this one, to draw on top of your computer screen. And today we are going to do some window management, and I'm developing this in Electron using JavaScript. So we'll learn some more of the Electron APIs. And we'll learn together on the stream because I don't know much about the Electron APIs. So let's dive in. This is what the app currently looks like. So right when you start the app, you can start drawing on top of your computer screen. That is useful for things like streaming and Zoom presentations, that kind of thing. And as soon as you start the app, the drawing window shows up, and there is no way for you to hide the drawing. Ideally, there will be a way for you to hide the drawing, and you will be able to continue interacting with the rest of your apps, and then at some point you can bring up the app again to continue drawing on top of your computer screen. So we need, well, I guess we will start with another button here. So you can see on my menu, I have a blank spot. Let's use that spot. And what we'll have here is a button that will hide everything. And right now, the app is showing up here on the dock. I don't want that to happen. I want the app to show up on the menu bar. So we'll do the menu bar, and then we'll do some things here to hide the app. I guess I'll start with hiding the app because it's supposedly simple. Let's go to our menu and find that spot. It's right here. So this what do these mean? I forget. So they are different modes of operation. Either you are drawing on top of your screen or you are interacting with the apps underneath. So they are different modalities, and that makes sense to be some radio buttons. That's fine. Where am I? Here. Oh yeah, I am in this other mode. Oh, that's something interesting. Probably we don't want... Okay, several things. Let's see. Yeah, so there is this bug where the cursor shows up below the drawing. This cursor, this custom cursor we developed yesterday, shows up below the drawing. So there is that we need to fix. And also the cursor continues on the screen even after I have switched to another app. So that is something that we probably have to deal with. I think it will be part of the window management we are about to do. And then we have these different modes of operation. Either you are drawing or you are interacting with applications underneath. And we want a third button here that will act as a button, really. It will hide the interface. So let me go again to that part of the menu. And we will have a button this time. And this button does not submit the form. So you know what? I think I'm going to start by addressing this fix me. I don't want these parts of the app that have to do with window management to be in this form. The reason why the form exists is to collect things like the color, the stroke width, which tool you're using, whether you want the thing to fade over time or not. So I want most sections of the menu to be part of this form that have to do with the state of which tool you're using and so forth. And then there is this extra stuff that has to do with the window management. I want eventually to extract this drawing engine, and it's related to but not quite the same as the rest of the app, so this part of the menu. So I will do something to break this apart. The form will be just the buttons that you change tools and whatnot. So let's see how the form starts. And I tried this yesterday, but it didn't work because of styling. So it didn't work because of the styles. I'll show you what I mean. The layout is wrong. The space here, it's too much space. So let's see why that is happening and what we can do to fix it. Okay, so I think it has to do with this. So there is some padding on the form on the left and right and top and bottom. And I guess I did this because I needed some space around, but I don't need the space around the form. I think that I actually need the space. So I guess this padding should not go on the form. I think it should go on the body. Let's see. Maybe the background color will not react well to this idea. Nope, it worked well. It seems like all my spaces have been preserved, the background color is in place, and this space looks right to me now. Or is it right? Let's measure. So between this separator and our element we have about 10 pixels. And between this separator and our element we have about 13 pixels. So it's off, but ever so slightly. I wonder why that is. Let's see if there is any sort of display flex on the body or the form or something else. Yeah, it seems like there is. Oh, but that's on a section item icon, not on the body itself. I have no idea where that space is coming from. But here's what I can do. I will commit what we have because I think it's already better. And then we will investigate. By doing this, maybe there is a better way to do this, but I don't know. The way that I am debugging these styling issues is by commenting out most of these options when I create the menu window. And this way the menu window becomes just a regular window. And with that I can open the developer tools here. So the menu window is about this size. And then I can investigate what is going on. So this separator is just, it seems alright. Then there is this separator. So let's compare where the margins go. The margin touches the element below, or is it margins? Yes, it's margins. So it touches the elements below, but it does not touch the letters over here. So I guess I will have to zoom in, and then you can see that the margin does not touch the letters S and D over here, but they touch this icon over there. Now let's see what this last separator is doing. Yeah, so this one seems to not touch the letters above, but it also does not touch this div. So probably that is the source of the issue. And I can see that when I hover over my grid here, I guess I can activate this one, and then I put my cursor over here, and you can tell that the margin is touching the element, the section. That's what I'm calling it. So it's touching the section. So that seems alright. But this one, is it touching the section? Yes, it is. So I guess the problem is that this section over here, the elements are touching the top of the section in every situation. I guess I can turn this off. So when I put my cursor here, for instance, you can see that the icon is touching the top, while this one doesn't seem to be. There is a bit of extra space there, so we are going to we're going to count this 2 or 3 pixels, and we're going to find where they're coming from. Okay, that's not too hard. It seems like the label has some space above, while over here it does not have that space above. So now all we gotta do is figure out why. That seems correct. So the problem is my section item. I can say justify content flex start. No, that does not get rid of that space. Well, flex end. No, that also doesn't affect that space. Oh, so that's fine. With this view, you can see the extra space there. I have no idea why that extra space is there. And if I just take this section and move it inside, which is, I thought I could do that, just move down elements using the inspector. Well, I guess I can copy, cut element. Well, that doesn't work. Still shows up. Can I copy the element and come in this form and then paste the element? Problem is that it pasted inside. Oh man. No, I want to delete this element. And maybe if I go to the form and paste element, then that will be a last section. So when that's fascinating. When it is that is weird. When this section is a child of the form, it doesn't have that extra space, and when it's a child of the body, it does have some extra space. No, I am interested in investigating the section item. So when I go to the section item and look at this, okay, I see a space. I cannot seem to move my cursor, so I see space right here. My grid has a gap. But the gap is not at fault here. The gap really comes from this flex stuff. That is crazy. I guess at this point I need to refresh because I messed enough things for the thing to be unusable. So we are now looking at the section item, trying to figure out why that space is there. Oh, that's crazy stuff. That's crazy. Why do these section items... I mean, what if I just delete one of them? Does it have to do with the content? Let's delete the other one. It does not have to do with the content, it doesn't seem. Does it have to do with the gap? Yes, it's applying the gap where other ones, they are not applying the same gap there. Display flex, flex direction column, align item center, no gap. That actually doesn't look too bad. And it does fix the issue, doesn't it? Yeah. Why would it put a gap before? Oh, I know why. Because these radio buttons are showing. Oh boy, I think I nailed it. I think I finally figured it out. Oh, that was so annoying. So yeah, I have the extra space, and if I say that my radio button is hidden, then the space should be gone now. Oh no, it's not gone. Let's apply the change to the code and we'll see. I guess I will keep this around. I probably have to revert to it. Well, I'll just go to the part of the code that is relevant. I can revert that later. So in all my other radio buttons, I have hidden. I have them hidden, but these ones are not hidden. In fact, they are still using old syntax. I'm now using this kind of syntax. Oh no. I thought I was modifying both. But the better question is, why wasn't that happening when I had this on the form? Or was it happening and I just wasn't noticing it? Maybe that was the issue. I probably just wasn't noticing it. And now I think that everything is alright. That was a lot of work for 3 pixels, but now we got it right. Amir says, hi, nice to have you here. We just finished this weirdest exploration. I hope you were here for this. I mean, it was crazy stuff, and I think we nailed it. Let's see. Yep, no gaps. Excellent. Now that I got this out of the way, let me reverse this. I will commit what I have, and I will double check all my inputs to make sure that they are hidden. Well, this one doesn't have to be hidden because the color selector is literally the radio button. I styled the radio button. This one is hidden, 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 and that's it. The commented out part is another part of the project that allows you to draw on top of an OBS stream as opposed to a computer screen, which is a working prototype. It's commented out. We did it in a previous stream. We will get back to this. Amir says, yeah, I saw your app in previous video. It's amazing. Thank you. I'm glad you're liking it. We are, I guess, about a third or half of the way to actually do a first release. We still have to do Windows support and Linux support and packaging and probably like a marketing website, writing some documentation, that kind of thing. So there's still a lot of work to do, and the plan is to do it all live in these streams every day at 5:30 UTC. So yeah, it makes me very happy that you are following along. So all right, that space is gone. I can return to sanity. And all of this was so I could have a new button that would close the window. We need to look for an icon that represents this closing. Let's see what they have in terms of free icons, because this is an open source app. So even if I wanted to pay, I couldn't I couldn't just redistribute their icons. So let's see what they have here for close. Actually, let's see what they have for window, because we are closing the window. Window close. Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay, so let me go to the relevant part of the code base, which is now outside the form. And this one will not be a label. It will, or actually it will be a label. Didn't we start this somewhere? No, we did not start this anywhere. So there will be a label. I guess I will copy one of these over. So instead of having a, I don't need a radio button, so I will delete this part. And I don't know why there is an extra space here. I'll delete that extra space. And then I will do something here. I don't know what the keyboard shortcut will be. In fact, all keyboard shortcuts are broken at this point, so that may be something that we try to fix in the stream. I mean, today. So we have an icon, and I will copy this over. This will be our close icon, but it will not be a div, it will be a button. And the reason why I wanted to extract this whole section from the form was first for correctness, as I explained, but also because now I can just have a button here and I don't have to say type button, because it's not going to try to submit the form in any way. Great. Now I have a new button and I press it and nothing happens. But let's make something happen. On click, I will run some JavaScript, some client-side JavaScript. And what this JavaScript is going to do is send an event to the main process, which will be in charge of closing the windows. In fact, there is a bad practice in Electron, which is to use this, what is it, a library, a package? I think it's just like a class called remote. Oh, it doesn't seem to be documented anymore. Yeah, this module it's a module. There you go, it's not a class, it's a module. This module is deprecated. They deprecated it in favor of IPC renderer and main. But what this allowed you to do was actually excellent, and I loved it. What it allowed you to do was to write some main code in the renderer process. Or at least that's what I understand from it. Use main process modules from the renderer process. But maybe we would not have access to the variables. So yeah, using this is out of the question because it's deprecated. The documentation is not even on the main page anymore. But I loved how it was a simple way to do inter-process communication. But I guess it is what it is. And we are doing the reverse, and we are using execute JavaScript. So I could just send an event. We did this in other places. We know how to do it. We are sending an event right here. But I would like to try to write the code in place and try to manipulate the windows right then and there. And I think that the principle of locality applies here. And instead of sending an event that the main process then executes, it's the button and its functionality is too far apart. While if I could write some JavaScript in here, the functionality would be right next to the button, which I find better. And I suppose that the remote module would allow me to do that, but it seems to be out of the question. I don't want to run into any weird issues because this is deprecated. Instead, there is something else I can try to look into. There is this idea of preload, and we learned about this like in one of our first episodes. We copy and pasted, or actually we started this project from a template that had a preload script. And I suppose that in the preload script, I maybe could attach the windows to some objects and maybe have them available in the renderer process. We'll see. I'm not too experienced on this idea of preloading. I don't know much about Electron, as I said in the beginning of the stream, so we'll see. Preload scripts contain code that executes in a renderer process before its web contents begin loading. Those scripts run within the renderer context but are granted more privileges by having access to the Node APIs. I know that some people use this preload script stuff to load some Node libraries into the renderer process, as opposed to doing what I am doing, which is when I create a window, I enable Node integration. Some people use a preload script and attach stuff to the window instead. Maybe I could attach the drawing window itself in the menu, and then the menu would have access to my drawing window. But first, there is a chicken and egg problem, because how will the drawing have access to the menu and the menu have access to the drawing? So there is an issue there. And also, I know that I can use Node libraries in the preload, but I'm not sure that I have access to variables like the drawing window in the preload script. The GitHub link in the description of the video is broken. Okay, I can try to fix that. Let me see. Now you don't exactly see what I am doing because I'm using my computer that is streaming, and you say that the link is broken, but I just tested and it worked. I don't know. I mean, I can paste the link here for you. This is where the app is. Is the repository private by accident? No, it's not. Let me try to open this on a private tab. No, the repository is public, and the link that I pasted, I just checked. It's supposed to work. Oh, isn't this the link in the description? Just looked at the description. I copy and pasted from the description. Let me know what's going on. I'll continue doing this and I'll check back the link. So, where was I? Yeah, preload script. Will I have access to the drawing window using the preload script? A preload script can be attached to the main process in the browser Windows constructor web preferences. Because the preload script shares a global window interface with the renderers and can access Node APIs, it serves to enhance your renderer by exposing arbitrary APIs in the window global that your web contents can then consume. So that's what I was talking about. You can bind these Node interfaces to the window object, which is global, and then on your renderer, when you're doing just regular client-side JavaScript, you have access to that. Although preload scripts share a window with the renderer they are attached to, you cannot directly attach any variables from the preload script to window because of the context isolation default. What? Oh, so I guess I would have, even if I were to use this instead of Node integration, I would still have to disable context isolation. So maybe that's what context isolation is all about. I don't know what this is about actually. I copy and pasted it, and that made it work. Oh, and it fits in a single line. Isn't that neat? But actually, because everything else is in multiple lines, I actually prefer this in multiple lines. But I'm always checking, does this fit in a single line? And Amir says, clicking on the descriptions link takes to nowhere. I think a fault from YouTube side. Oh, weird. I mean, I don't exactly see the same thing that you see because I am in the streamer mode. So I see it in edit. I can edit, so I cannot click on it because it's editable. Weird stuff. But I'm glad that you now found the repository and you can follow along with the code. In fact, I just pushed, so you have access to the thing that we are doing right now. YouTube, crazy stuff. Okay, so Context isolation means that preload scripts are isolated from the renderer's main world to avoid leaking any privileged APIs into your web contents code. Well, this leaking is exactly what I'm looking for. Instead, use the context bridge module to accomplish this securely. That's cool. I didn't know that existed. This feature is incredibly useful for two main purposes. By exposing IPC renderer helpers to the renderer, you can use inter-process communication to trigger main process tasks from the renderer and vice versa. If you're developing an Electron wrapper for an existing web app hosted on a remote URL, you can add custom properties into the renderer's window global that can be used from your desktop-only logic on the web client side. Okay, so we will not be able to do the thing I wanted. We'll have to do it the way we have been doing so far, and that works. And it's kind of annoying because of this distance between where I define here. This distance between where I define what the button does on the actual button and the action that will actually happen on the main process. I like to blur the lines between the processes, because I'm developing one app in a single place. It's not like I'm trying to wrap an existing web app into this. It is what it is. We'll continue. Or maybe here is something cool we could try. Okay, so first of all, let's make sure that this button works, and I will show you the cool thing that I'm thinking about. So when I click on that button, it should say hello. Alright, so the button works. But this is arbitrary code that I'm writing here. So here's something I could do. I could define a function. Check this out, this is gonna be crazy. I could define a function that I immediately call. And from here, I can return. That doesn't change anything. But what this allows me to do is to write arbitrary code. So I can do things like console log I just ran. This is running on the main process. See, and it runs when the application starts up. So here is something crazy we could try to do. Oh, in fact, I just thought of something. Let's look at the icons. Maybe there is an icon for minimizing, which would make more sense. Well, these don't really mean anything, do they? And then this actually means full screen, which is not what we are going for. And these don't mean much either. So I guess we'll continue with our icon. But what I was saying here is that I can write something like IPC main. I am in the main process at this point. On, and then I guess I'm gonna call this like the hide event. I don't know if a hide event already exists. We could check for that, but I'll start by calling this the hide because that's what this does. It closes the window, or maybe close. I'll call it hide. And then in here, I'm in the main process, I can console log hide. And here I am in the client process. So I can say something like IPC renderer send a hide event. So now my event handler on the main process and my event sender on the client side are collocated. I really like this architecture. I prefer to divide my ideas by components, like closing a window. Prefer to do that component as opposed to dividing it by process. There you go. That architecture is crazy, but it works. So now I can do, and you know what? I'm going to take a moment to look at what events can show up so I don't end up reusing an event, which could be catastrophic. So I'll look at IPC main, I will look at IPC renderer, and I will look at events. Okay. And they don't seem to prefix their events with any kind of namespace. So I don't think there is any default event that will be sent here, but we'll see. My worry is that there is something already that triggers a hide event or a close event. But they don't document anything like that. So I guess I am free to use hide, and what I want is to just literally hide the screen. So I'm going to call this event hide. That's fine. So what I'm gonna do is my drawing I will hide, and my menu, do I need to hide the menu? The menu is a child of the drawing. So if I hide the drawing, I have two windows, one for the drawing, one for the menu, but the menu is a child of the drawing. So if I hide the drawing, I am hiding the menu as well. Cool. So this was a surprisingly short amount of code to do this. Of course, once we hide, we'll never be able to see it again, so I'll have to do the menu bar thing to bring it back, or maybe even a global keyboard shortcut. But now that I did this, I really like this architecture. I will try to use the same architecture for my other events. I know that I'm only handling events, these 3 events. So let's start with the ignore mouse events, because it's so near where we are in the code. So we just wrote code here, and our IPC renderer, our ignore mouse events stuff is happening right there. And it applies to both of these buttons, or radio buttons. So I guess I will not do it right here like I did with this one. I'll do on top. So there will be here a section that it will be one of those immediately invoked function expressions. That one will return actually nothing, because I don't want to render anything. I just want to take this opportunity to do my ignore mouse events stuff. And now I collocated the IPC main, the main process handler, with the things that actually send crazy, with the things that actually send the event. And I could try to remove this repetition, but I will not for now. Let's see if this still works. I should be able to interact. I should be able to draw something and then interact with the window underneath. Here we are. Excellent. Let's go to the next one. So we have our cursor event. And this is sent by the menu. So the purpose of this event is when I change something on the menu, we did, I think, this like yesterday, we created this handler. So when we change something like the color, we need to change the cursor. It becomes blue or green. This change is happening on the menu, but the effect happens on my drawing screen. So the menu has to send a process, send an event to the main process, which forwards the event down to the drawing screen to change the custom cursor. So I guess what I'm going to do is to put this along with the menu part of things, where the event is triggered from. Right here. This is the only place that sends a cursor event, I think. This is me handling the cursor event on the other side. They happen to have the same name. But now I can do the immediately invoked function expression here. And I will paste that IPC render stuff, IPC main stuff. And I will return that. Oh, I messed it up. Yeah, hate when I do that. Oh no, I messed it up. Go back, try again. So I have my immediately invoked function expression. I want to do this. Oh, but then I lost on the clipboard. I lost the other snippet. This snippet, or no, this one. Oh, I love this refactoring I'm doing right now. Makes things so much better. So now I can pretend that I'm sending an event from my menu directly to my main window. Directly to my drawing window, that is. And the whole forwarding is right here. And I would not like to have the handler for this event together. I mean, the changing of the cursor is something that belongs in a separate process. It's just that this forwarding is one story, so it should be in one place. Let's see if the cursor still changes. Yes. So next, let me go find the final event here, and that is handling a menu event. What is that about? Well, that is when I am starting to draw. I need to know what I'm doing. I need to know what is the state, what color should I draw in. And the source of truth for that is the menu. So I query the menu. What is the state of the world? And I do that from the drawing window. So right here. No, not quite. Here. And let's take a moment and see what this is doing. So yeah, we send an event from the drawing window. We invoke the menu event on the main process. The main process then goes down to the menu and queries what is the state of the form. But all of this made sense before we made the custom cursor. Now that we have the custom cursor, anytime that the menu changes, the menu is proactive and notifies the drawing window to update the cursor. So at that point, we could just store the current menu and we don't need to query the menu. So the drawing doesn't actively query the menu. The menu is proactive and forwarded the changes, which is necessary for the cursor to work. So I believe I should be able to just remove all this. And I will not have the menu as this. I will not invoke a menu event. Let's see if I have any other instance of this. No. So I'm not going to invoke a menu event. Instead, I am going to store this menu situation. Let's see how I'm going to do this. So where am I receiving the cursor event? I am receiving the cursor event right here. And I receive the current state of the menu. And this div is my cursor. But what if I attach this menu to something else? Maybe the body, or I guess I will create a div that will be, yeah, so this is my drawing window. I think I will create a div that represents the drawing. So it is both the custom cursor as well as the actual drawing. And then on this div, I will attach my current menu. So I have a div, and this div will wrap the whole body actually. So I can probably say just slash body and close div. And this div will have a class called drawing. Is this something that already exists? No. So this style applies to my drawing. And you can see where I'm going with this. Eventually I will want to extract this, so I will want to extract my drawing component. And this has some position absolute going on, so I will have to do a position. I guess what I'm going to do is I'll put the drawing on top of the whole screen. So I'll do a position absolute. And I will put it on top of the whole screen, like that. But then you will be able to mount this drawing component however you want. Crazy stuff. One unfortunate side effect of my JavaScript stuff is that my client-side JavaScript stuff is that I lose syntax highlighting and I lose automatic predefine. That's unfortunate. But anyway, so when I get a cursor event, I am going to go to this, which is my div right here, or actually my cursor event will actually go now on my drawing thing. Now I'm probably in the middle of breaking a lot of things. That's okay. This data on DOM content loaded is an extension that I talked about in previous episodes. It allows me to run some code when the whole window has loaded, and this code has access to this as this, so this div. So it becomes kind of a component, but it's not React, it's not Vue, it's just plain HTML and JavaScript. So when I get a new menu, I will say that this menu is equal to menu. And then let's see where everywhere else where I use the menu, I will use this menu instead. And the fact that this event is called cursor is no longer accurate. So let's see everywhere where I have a cursor, and I will change this to like update. I guess I will say it's an update of the mode. Or actually I may call this menu. I don't think I have any event called menu now. I removed that. Yeah, this guy is going to go away. So I'll call this the menu. Or settings. I will call it settings. They are the drawing settings. So I'm going to change cursor to settings. See how all the changes happen in the same place? That's the beauty of collocation. And this is not really the menu now, it's the settings. And then let's see where we need to get a hold of the menu. Now we need to get a hold of the settings. So I will say, do I have a variable called drawing? Will it conflict with anything? No. So I can come here to the part where I am drawing. This is my drawing engine. This is the algorithm for the drawing engine. We wrote this together in a stream. And I'll have a variable called drawing, which will be this closest drawing. And then anywhere where we need the menu, we will replace that with drawing settings. Okay, that was a lot of changes. That was a very big architectural change. Let's see first if I got rid of my IPC mains soup. Yes, there is no longer the soup of IPC mains. Then let's review our changes. Now we have this drawing thing that we'll be able to extract in the future. Currently sits on top of the whole screen, and it hides the cursor, and when it's loaded I listen for the settings event, and when the settings have changed I update the settings. Then here I don't have to listen for the cursor change. Oh, so there is a lot of things here that have nothing to do with the settings changing. So I need to split this in two parts. Over here I will update my settings variable, And over here, I'm interested in all of these changes, but I'm not updating the settings variable. Okay, let's continue reviewing the changes. So let's see, we have the drawing component. When we get a settings event, we update our settings. Down here, we just renamed the settings. And it should not be this settings now. It should be just settings. Because it's listening to the event directly. So when an event is sent to change the settings, I store that for later, but I also just right away change my custom cursor. Then over here, instead of querying the menu, I look at my drawing settings. Yeah, continuing that. And then over here, I send, instead of the cursor event, I send the settings event, and I should probably rename this to settings. Not that it matters too much. Then over here, I just collocated some stuff, so I moved things around. And this is just forwarding an event. No, it's not forwarding the event. It's actually doing the main process logic that's necessary for this. And then I got rid of my soup of IPC main stuff. I really love these changes. There may be some bugs, but I love where this is going. So let's see. I can no longer draw, but my custom cursor does change. And once I have changed some settings, then I can draw. The problem is that when I just loaded, when I have just started, let me go to the file, not the GIF for the file. So when I am just loading, I need to send one of those events to initialize the drawing settings on the other side. Let me go to the place where I send. So you know what? This is doing this whole shenanigans on send, on change, but I think that I want to run it when I load as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to say data on DOM content loaded equals some JavaScript, and I will define a function called settings. This function will do this. And then I will call settings right away, and I will say this add event listener for change settings as well. And of course I will want to do this thing, but replace my JavaScript like so and remove that. Let me see if there's something else. So there is only one wrinkle. I'm not sure that this here will work. Let's see. No. and then it works. Huge architectural change, but an excellent one too. Let me see what changed. So I went from onChange to content loaded, and I sent the event. Maybe this could be called update or something. No, that's fine. Yeah, all right. So now we are able to draw, change the cursor. It is now blue, for instance. Can draw some stuff, change tools, make things fade, interact with the windows underneath, and close the drawing window. And that is it for this week. Coming up on Monday, I will continue working on this, of course, and what I'm going to do is the menu bar, so that and also probably a global keyboard shortcut, so that when you close the app, you can reopen the app. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you, Amir. Thank you, Amir, for being here with me and being active on the chat. Thank you to everyone who supports me on PayPal and Patreon, and I hope you have a good weekend. Bye.